What's up, guys? Welcome back. So yesterday I put out a video of my 7 favorite teams for Grand Arena defense. Today I want to go over my 7 favorite teams for Grand Arena offense. We're going to find some different variations between offense and defense. That's the point of Grand Arena. So teams that you saw on defense, you won't really see much of that here with offense. There may be some repeat characters between them, but that's just because there's flexibility there with what you can use in different teams. So we will go through all that today. So hopefully you guys do enjoy this video as much as you guys are enjoying that Grand Arena defense video right now. Still very popular. So let's go ahead and get into my 7 favorite teams for offense. So the first team up is going to be Nightsisters. You guys are asking a lot about this with defense yesterday. I actually like to use them for offense more in Grand Arena, mostly because they can counter so many teams that you'll usually find on defense. They can counter Baslub and Revan Jedi-led teams. They can go through any Jedi training raid teams you find on defense. They counter a lot of teams. They're sort of like the anti-meta. They're one of the anti-meta teams out there because of how good they are. They have the leadership for Asajj Ventress that you really want to get the Zeta on. You know, they have the unresistible turn meter reduction. So a team like this of 5 Nightsisters is what you want to go for. Now, in terms of other characters you can throw in here, I've seen a lot of people use Emphas Nest. Emphas Nest is very, very good with a Nightsister team. In fact, if you want to use a defensive variation of this, Nest is pretty much needed here, aka the Nest Sisters. So what you want to use with this team is the Days from Nest. Really helps to counteract the Imperial Troopers, which you usually use to fight them on defense. But for offense, very good here overall. If you don't have Nest and you want to focus on a solid Nightsister team, Nightsister Spirit and Nightsister Acolyte, both of them work really great here. Nightsister Acolyte can hit pretty hard. Nightsister Spirit can also hit really hard, can ignore armor, gets constant foresight. Very strong characters to use in the Nightsister team here. So Nightsisters overall, one of the stronger teams that you can definitely use for offense. Now, next up, we have a Jedi Training Raid team. There's not a lot of Resistance characters here. You're going to see a lot of droids, and this is a team that I've covered before in the past. You have Nest here. This team overall can really defeat Revan teams. They can defeat a lot of your meta teams as well. If you do have to use Nest here, there are some very tricky things you need to go for. Number one, you need to stack up her tenacity. We've seen this before with a Zal team. Going for a high tenacity build here, like 125% tenacity on Nest, that's what you want to go for, because then she can constantly resist the max health down effects from the Revan leadership. So a team like this, you want to get 3 droids in here. That gives a huge speed boost at the start to both R2-D2 and BB-8, allows them to constantly get the secret intel out and the smoke screens, and very quickly build up the Illuminated Destiny. K2 works here, any kind of droid tank works here, but K2 also really good. You'll get a lot of debuffs with a Revan team, so he can constantly counter, and if anytime he scores a critical hit, that automatically reduces the cooldown of Illuminated Destiny by 1. So overall, a Jedi Train Raid lead here with BB-8, R2-D2, and then a droid tank. Emphas Nest works here. If you don't have Emphas Nest, Grand Admiral Thrawn also works really well here. He can fracture some certain Jedi characters. So this kind of team right here, this is what you want to focus on for defeating a Revan team. This is something I've covered before. Very solid for defeating those Revan teams out there. So next up, we have an Empire team with a Zeta lead with Emperor Palpatine. Whenever a debuff expires on an opponent, all Sith and Empire allies gain 5% turn meter. This is a very strong team. We've seen it counter a lot of bounty hunter teams. Works really well there. There's a lot of interchangeability here as well. You don't have to have Imperial Probe Droid, but he comes with a self-destruct, which can be pretty good for any kind of annoying characters you come up against, like a Darth Scion. You have Tarkin, who can do a lot of debuffs, can also remove turn meter, and can build up his damage over time to unleash a really devastating blast with that AoE attack. And then, of course, Shore Trooper comes with the pre-taunt, crit immunity. Vader and Palpatine, you really have to throw them in here together. You get a lot of boost with turn meter with speed to Vader anyways because of his unique. He can apply a lot of dots, he can saber throw, which automatically removes any debuffs from the target, and then it can also defeat the target, and then he can go again. So there's a lot of strength here with this team overall. There's a lot of interchangeability. You don't have to just use Sith, or you don't have to just use you don't just have to, oh my god. You don't just have to use Empire with Palpatine lead here. You can also go for some Sith too if you really want to, but really, usually an Empire team works best here. Sidious can work great because he can do a lot of dots as well, which can help build up the turn meter boost for your team. You have characters like Sith Assassin, you can help boost the turn meter for your team. Sith Marauder, if you want to get crazy, you can throw him in here too. So overall, a Sith Empire team hybrid with that Zeta Palpatine lead, very, very strong for offense. It can defeat a lot of teams. It can go through bounty hunters, go through Phoenix, can go through pretty much most of your team's CLS as well. If you fight a CLS team on defense, Palpatine can cut right through that thanks to the rework that we got with Palpatine, where his Cackling Doom also does a lot of damage to your Rebel and Jedi allies. Overall, Empire team led by Palpatine with some Sith thrown in there, very strong. Now, here is a good one for Rebels, a CLS-led team with Chewie, Han, Bistan, and then you can find another Rebel to throw in there if you need to. It doesn't have to be Admiral Akbar. Akbar can cleanse. He can give 100% turn meter to an ally when he's a special. He has a lot of stuff going for him. So if you don't have R2-D2 for that JTR team, absolutely throw R2-D2 in here. He's really going to help this team cleanse the constant debuffs from themselves. He's going to help jack up their protection, their health, their offense, really help make this team more durable and hit harder. So a CLS-led team like this, very good for a lot of different teams out there. We've seen them defeat Kira-led teams. We've seen them defeat Traya teams. Any kind of team here with CLS and Chewie and Han, those three as a whole, that trio, very, very strong. So you can throw in some other Rebels here, but Bistan is also going to be getting the guard from Chewbacca a lot. And what happens with the guard is that anytime an ally uses any ability and they are guarded, he is automatically going to assist whenever that happens. And his basic deals 20% max health damage, so he does a lot of damage. He's going to be constantly assisting because Bistan can give himself Frenzy. So any team like this with Bistan and Chewie and Han, that with the CLS lead, all very deadly. So try building up a team like this, see what it can do for you. It's very good for a lot of the defensive teams that we see out there. And now we're finally getting to one of my favorite teams that I've been having a lot of fun with lately, and all thanks to that Karth lead and the overall dots that this team can apply. In my video showcasing Karth and how he really leads the Old Republic team to victory, you guys are commenting a lot about his name, how I was pronouncing it wrong. Someone said it was sounding something like NASCAR, so apologies here. I will do my best to adjust those names here. So we have Karth O'Nascar with the leadership here, and his leadership with the Zeta, which you really should get, is that any time that an enemy is afflicted with damage over time, all Old Republic allies recover 3% health and protection, and then whenever an Old Republic ally uses a basic, they have an 80% chance to call another Old Republic ally to assist. Now, you have quite a few Old Republic allies, however there's only a certain number of them that can apply damage over time effects. Most of your Old Republic characters are usually like your Jedi or other characters like this. You can see we've got another 5 already, but none of those can apply damage over time effects. Jumanji also can't apply damage over time, but she gains bonus damage for debuffed enemies. She can also apply stagger, she can recover health and protection. She's very strong in an Old Republic team like this. Now Mission and Zalbar, I featured them in a Kira team yesterday, but I also showed how you can use Han and Chewie there if needed to. If you can get a Karth-led team here for Old Republic, very strong here. Canderous, you gotta have him here because he's constantly applying damage over time effects. And then if you can get the Zeta on Mission, highly recommend it because then she can constantly assist whenever Zalbar uses any ability. So if he counters, she assists. If he gets called to assist through the Karth lead, she'll also then assist. Now, we're not sure if the damage penalty applies to her from the Karth lead here, if she assists Zalbar when he assists. However, we don't think it works, but we'll see. We're not really sure on that one yet. But overall, a Zeta mission with a Zeta Karth lead and a Zalbar. You have Canderous. If you don't want to use some of these characters, there's plenty of other characters out there that work really great. Wampa can apply dots on his basic, so he's gonna be great here. He can counter, applies more dots, so great for this team. If you also have Darth Vader works great here because he can apply multiple dots in one turn. Any character that can apply a lot of dots very quickly, that is a character that's going to work great here in this team overall. So, Karth-led, Old Republic team, getting some other characters who can apply dots, very strong team to use for offense. We've also seen it work great on defense too. So this is a very strong team to work on. Also, you're more than likely going to need most of these characters anyways for Darth Revan when he comes here in a few months. So, with that, work on Old Republic. And then we have a Bounty Hunter offensive team. Now, yesterday in my video, I mentioned you have a very strong defensive Bounty Hunter team with that Zeta Bosk lead. And this holds for the other 5 Bounty Hunters can be a very strong offensive team. You have 2 different leaderships that work really well here, both with Jango Fett and Embo. Embo gives a lot of counter chance and health steal to your team. Jango deals more with potency and tenacity, bonus speed. They give the allies Bounty Hunter's Resolve, which gives them bonus offense, and they automatically revive when they die for the first time. So overall, both leads very good. Jango Fett's a little bit better, though, for a Bounty Hunter offensive team. This team can defeat Traya. This team can defeat pretty much most of your teams out there. Not so good against Revan, but with Jango Fett, he can apply burning to the enemy team, and once they have burning on them, they're not able to gain turn meter. They also lose 25% max health, so very strong here for this team. I definitely recommend that you work on a Jango Fett team leading a Bounty Hunter offensive team for Grand Arena offense. Very strong here. For your other 5 Bounty Hunters, if you want to, you can throw Boba Fett in here. You can switch him out with IG-88 to put IG-8 on the defensive team. Switch in Boba. Then you have both Bounty Hunter Mandalorians. They can both prevent enemies from being revived. So you can use that to counter a sort of reviving team like the Kira Scoundrels. Any team that's going to constantly revive Nightsisters as well, that will work here. Plus, once they have Bounty Hunter Resolve, they can constantly ignore taunt. So if you have a constant tanking character like L3 or Nightsister Zombie, the Bounty Hunter Resolve is going to allow you to ignore that taunt, go right for the characters that are going to be the problem, like Asajj Ventress, Old Daka, any kind of Zalbar or Mission on a Kira team. Any character that's going to really damage your team, you can ignore that taunt, go right for them. Once you kill them with Boba Fett or Jango, they can't be revived. So overall, very strong offensive team here for Bounty Hunters. Definitely recommend that you guys start working on the Bounty Hunter faction overall, because you get a good offensive team and a good defensive team here. And finally, we have Ewoks. I've mentioned this team before. We're working on Ewoks for C-3PO anyways. This team, very strong, does a lot of assists like the Karth team does, and you want to have the Zeta on Chirpa here, because anytime that an Ewok ally uses a special, there's a 60% chance to call an Ewok ally to assist. And because of this, they deal more damage on their basic attack. They also gain turn meter, so a lot of assists, a lot of bonus turn meter, a lot of bonus damage. Very, very strong team here. This is the 5 that you really want to focus on. Ewok Scout and Teebo are the weaker 2 of the Ewoks that fit in this team overall. Logray can apply daze and can remove turn meter from characters, so he's very strong against countering teams that can do a lot of counters or assists, because daze prevents that. Also, any teams that can gain a lot of bonus turn meter, daze also really counters that too. So daze here is great for this kind of team. Wicket is your powerhouse. He deals a lot of your damage. He can also boost the turn meter for your team. If you have the Zeta on him, recovers health and protection. Not really something you need to go for. But also, I should have mentioned the Zeta on Logray. Shaman's Insight. Whenever an Ewok ally scores a critical hit, they gain health up. And then anytime an Ewok ally scores a critical hit, all Ewok allies with health up recover 10% health. Pretty solid overall. But really, Paploo is the star here because he gains 25% bonus speed whenever he is not taunting. Now, what this means is that if you can build up his speed to quite a bit, you can see that I've got 210 speed on my Paploo. Add another 25% on that, that's about 260 speed. Very solid. He's going to be going first a lot of the time. He is then going to call an Ewok Elder to assist, who will then use his basic, which can give himself turn meter, and Ewok allies turn meter as well. That can help your whole Ewok team go first. So overall, very strong Ewok team here. We've seen them defeat First Order, we've seen them defeat Phoenix. There has been some videos of them defeating Revan, but that was with some really, really good mods on Ewoks, which is not something you're usually going to do. So if you can afford to put those really good mods on Ewoks, go ahead, but as a whole, I don't recommend it. They're best spelled elsewhere. So Ewoks overall, very strong. Scout also gives you another damage dealer, so if you need to get more damage in this team, you can replace someone like, you can replace Paploo if you need to, or Logray, but that's kind of iffy because then you don't get that first turn guarantee, and you also lose the dazing ability. So this is the 5 Ewoks you want to go for. Don't worry about Teebo. Teebo's not very good. So since we're already working on them for C-3PO for the Legendary event, might as well keep working on them for Grand Arena offense. So these are my favorite 7 teams to use for offense. Very, very flexible teams here. A lot of stuff you can throw in, mix in with them. And they also have a wide variety of teams they can counter and defeat. So there is some pretty strong offensive capabilities with these teams. There's not just a team set to defeat one team. There are teams that can defeat multiple teams at the same time. And that's what you want to go for with an offensive team. You want to go for a team that is set to counter multiple teams. Because if you just focus on one team set to counter one team at a time, it's really hurting yourself in the long run. You need that flexibility as a whole. This is what you need to use with Grand Arena. I mean, you do have some characters like Han and Chewie that have featured on defense. You have Nest, which also works on defense with the Nightsisters, but there is some flexibility here with these characters. So you don't have to use all these for offense. You can set some of these on defense too, and that is the beauty of some of these teams. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this. If you guys have any questions about these teams, any other teams you guys think work well on offense, drop them down in the comment section below. As always, guys, thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.